You know how the scariest stories always begin in the dark? Whispered names around a campfire, shadowed figures just at the edge of your vision? Well, this is one of those stories. They call it Skinwalker Ranch. But that's not what it was always called. Once, it was just land. Quiet, vast, bordering Ute reservation lands in northeastern Utah. Over time, it became a place people whisper about, a place where things shift and change, where even the darkest corners of nature have eyes. In Navajo legend, a skinwalker is a witch, a powerful one with the ability to shapeshift into animals, to slip between forms. They're feared, taboo, often said to be born from a terrible crime, a deep betrayal. They walk like animals, but think like humans, haunting, tormenting, and stealing not just things but your peace of mind. And in Ute belief, similar legends exist: masked spirits, boundary crossers, and dark watchers in the hills. This land, it seems, sits on old fault lines, geographical, spiritual, and cultural, and some believe the ranch lies directly on top of a crossing point, a portal between our world and somewhere else. This isn't just a haunted farm, it's a battleground for fear. The modern story often begins in 1994 when Terry and Gwen Sherman bought about 480 acres of pasture, fences, and old ranch buildings. Before them, the ranch was owned for decades by Kenneth and Edith Myers. They ran it quietly. They didn't report much. The myths say the strange phenomena didn't just start, they intensified the moment the Shermans arrived. From their very first days, the Shermans noticed odd things. They found deadbolt locks on nearly every window and door, some bolted from both the inside and the outside. Even the kitchen cabinets had extra latches, as if someone was trying to keep something in or out. One night, Gwen was looking out at a field and saw a wolf. But this was no ordinary wolf. It was huge, far larger than any typical wolf, and it was unnaturally calm, its stare piercing through the twilight. They tried to dismiss it, chalking it up to wild animals. But that was just the prelude. In their first few months, the Shermans experienced things that no rancher would ever call simple anomalies. They tried to document them, record them, even fight them. They reported seeing box-like flying objects, white lights hovering silently before darting away at impossible speeds. They saw larger craft too, some as big as football fields, moving without a single sound. They witnessed red beams of light, doorways of glowing orange that seemed to open into thin air, with shapes moving in and out. Gwen once said a craft followed her car all the way home, its lights trailing her like a predator. Then there were the cattle. Cows vanished without a trace. Others were found dead, mutilated with what looked like surgical precision. Organs were removed, but there was no blood, no tracks, no sign of a struggle. They lost 7 cattle in their time there. Some just gone. Some left in pieces. Even their dogs were affected. They reported that intense orbs or fields of energy would injure their dogs or worse. And then the creature encounters. One night, Terry Sherman spotted a creature that was part wolf, part man, moving in a way that was completely inhuman. He shot at it with a Pipe .357 Magnum. He knew the bullet hit, but there was no blood, no injury. The beast simply looked at him, then turned and walked away into the darkness. Later in the snow, they found a single, deep footprint, 6 inches long, with claw-like impressions. A few feet on, the tracks just stopped, vanishing into nothing. Researchers who came later saw humanoid figures perched in trees, watching from the shadows, their eyes glowing. Inside the house, it was just as bad. Doors slammed on their own, objects would disappear, only to reappear in completely different rooms. Sometimes things would vanish, as if swallowed by the earth, then re-emerge far away. They heard voices whispering in foreign, unknown tongues, and the sound of heavy machinery running underground. Even though there was no equipment for miles, it wore them down. Day by day, the land itself seemed to be screaming. Gwen and Terry began to fear their own home more than the wilderness outside. By 1996, they'd had enough. The Shermans sold the ranch, reportedly at a loss, to Robert Bigelow, a wealthy UFO enthusiast. Bigelow founded NIDS, the National Institute for Discovery Science, specifically to study the paranormal phenomena on the ranch. Under NIDS, the property was turned into a laboratory. Scientists, engineers, and investigators, some believers, some skeptics, came to watch, record, and test. They collected thousands of hours of data, night vision footage, electromagnetic readings, and ground-penetrating radar scans. But the harder they looked, the more the phenomena seemed to play with them, retreating just as they got close. In one famous incident, investigator Colin Kelleher claimed he was being watched by a creature perched in a tree. As he raised his rifle, it vanished. Later, he found a single, deeply pressed oval footprint in the snow with claw marks trailing behind it, impossible to identify. Years passed. Government interest grew, with some tying the ranch to secret UFO research projects, but still that conclusive physical proof remained elusive. Some say that the mere act of observing the phenomenon changes it, that the shadow, when watched, simply flees. The Sherman story is extreme, but it isn't alone. Across the Southwest and among various tribes, there are countless variations of Skinwalker lore that echo what happened in Utah. In Navajo tradition, a Yinaldlushi is someone who has committed a terrible act, like harming a family member, and in doing so gains the power to turn into a coyote, a wolf, a fox, or any animal they choose. Near the Uinta Basin, the Ute people report shadow figures, glowing red eyes at the forest's edge, and animals behaving in unnatural ways. There are other reports from Utah of animals running alongside cars, only to morph mid-stride. Hunters tell stories of wolves that approach and just stare for minutes on end, calm, motionless, before disappearing into thin air. Ranchers in other states have talked about livestock vanishing at night, with no tracks and no signs of a struggle, as if they were taken by ghosts. These stories are scattered and the details are different, but they all share a central, terrifying pulse, that something out there can cross the boundary between human and beast, between the seen and the unseen, and it pays no attention to the laws we think govern our world. So, what do we make of all this? What's the real story behind Skinwalker Ranch, this desert of dread? One possibility is that it's all real. Maybe the Shermans woke something up, a shapeshifter, a portal, a curse. Maybe the land isn't haunted by one spirit, but by many, all layered on top of each other, shifting through time. Another theory points to UFOs and interdimensional activity. Many experts tie the ranch's phenomena to unidentified aerial phenomena, portals, and shifts in dimensional physics. Maybe alien craft used that land as a crossing point. This could explain the cattle mutilations and the other anomalies that seem to defy our understanding of physics. Of course, there are the skeptics. They argue that many events were simply misinterpretations, common wildlife, optical illusions, or camera glitches. Some suggest the Shermans, under immense stress, might have exaggerated. And it's true, despite decades of investigation, hard physical proof is still missing. No bodies, no solid artifacts. Maybe what they saw was a projection of their own deep-seated fears. And finally, there's the theory of secret military technology. Some speculate that what's happening is top-secret weapons testing, cloaked aircraft, exotic physics experiments being conducted on remote land. If that's the case, the ranch could be a testing ground for technology we can't even imagine yet. The Sherman family walked into a dream of a quiet ranch life, and they walked out of a horror story that no one can fully explain. Skinwalker Ranch remains a crossroads, a junction of folklore and frontier, myth and science, fear and curiosity. We may never know if what haunted them was an ancient witch, an alien visitor, or just our own collective imagination pushing out into the void. But there's one thing many people believe: the land remembers. It holds the echoes of things we were never meant to see. And sometimes, on a quiet night, under Utah's vast sky, something is watching. So the next time you look at a dark hillside at twilight, or hear a lone howl across an empty field, maybe consider that not everything is as it seems. If this story sent a chill down your spine, please subscribe for more content that explores the unexplained.